Okay, it's 5:02. So Ms. Maddox, we're ready whenever you are.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us this afternoon for our Baltimore County Redistricting information session. We are honored to welcome Senator Charles Sydnor III and Mrs. Sharonda Dillard-Huffman, who will be guiding us through today's important conversation. And I will begin by introducing our speakers. It is my privilege to introduce Sharonda Dillard-Huffman of Essex, Maryland, a dynamic force in civic leadership and housing justice. Mrs. Dillard-Huffman currently serves as chair of the Baltimore County Housing Committee for Maryland Inclusive Housing and leads as president of the Blue and Gold Democratic Club. Her commitment to service is reflected in her active memberships with Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, the NAACP, and the Greater Baltimore Urban League. Mrs. Dillard-Huffman is deeply engaged in the fight for fair and equitable representation, working alongside grassroots organizations to educate and advocate for inclusive redistricting across Baltimore County. Professionally, she brings her expertise to the role of disability law manager at a housing nonprofit where she champions access and dignity for all. Mrs. Dillard-Huffman is a proud graduate of Morgan State University, earning a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science and holds a Master of Public Administration degree from Strayer University. Her academic background serves as the foundation for her commitment to public service. She also served on the Maryland State Democratic Central Committee in 2022, was elected as a delegate to the 2024 Democratic National Convention, and is now a candidate for Baltimore County Council. Her leadership is bold, her advocacy is relentless, and her vision is rooted in justice. Let's give a warm welcome and virtual hand clap for Mrs. Sharonda Dillard-Huffman. All right. And now it is my honor to introduce a distinguished public servant whose career reflects a steadfast commitment to justice, ethics, and inclusive representation. The Honorable Charles E. Sydnor III has represented Maryland's District 44 in the State Senate since 2020, following 5 years of service as delegate for District 44B. In the Senate, he chairs the Joint Committee on Legislative Ethics and serves on both the Judicial Proceedings and Executive Nominations Committee, bringing a sharp legal mind and principled leadership to every deliberation. As an attorney admitted to practice in Maryland, the District of Columbia, and before the United States Supreme Court, Senator Sydnor also serves as Assistant General Counsel for a Columbia-based affordable housing organization. His legal acumen is matched by his dedication to civil rights, most notably as a plaintiff in the 2021 redistricting lawsuit against Baltimore County, where he championed fair representation for all communities. Senator Sydnor is a proud member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Omicron Delta Kappa, and the American Constitution Society. A graduate of Baltimore Polytechnic Institute, he holds a BA in History from Johns Hopkins University and an MA in Policy Science from UMBC and a Juris Doctorate from the University of Maryland School of Law. Whether in the courtroom, the State House, or the community, Senator Sydnor leads with integrity, intellect, and impact. Please join me in welcoming the Honorable Charles E. Sydnor III. And those are our speakers for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and share a PowerPoint. Okay, well, we're going to start off today we have an hour that we're going to do a presentation, but you can feel free to add your questions in the chat as we go along, and we will get to them. But today, I just want to thank Peter Richkes, who did most of this presentation. I will bring her up a little bit later to talk about what she does. But today we're going to be talking about the 2025 Baltimore County redistricting. And it's just not about us, it's about equity. It's about representation, and it's about us, we the people. And I'm Sharonda Dillard-Huffman, along with Senator Sydnor. I just want to say we did this about a year ago, where we had an exhibit that was given to us from our council. 27, I'm sorry, it was, I can't remember the number, but we have had different iterations of maps, and the final recommendation you will see on the screen from our redistricting commission that came out is to the left, and Bill 5524 is to the right. And then we'll go over a little bit of the differences just to set the stage. This is going to be the redistricting schedule. So there's going to be opportunities for public testimony on August the 26th. It's going to be a public hearing at 4 p.m. You can also register for that online. On Tuesday, September 2nd, will be a 6 p.m. Opportunity for public testimony, and that's after the legislative session. On Tuesday, September the 9th, that is actually at 4 p.m. That'll be the public hearing, and the final vote will be on September 15th at 6 p.m. The first redistricting deadline is going to be on October the 1st. Just to give you a little background, and I'm going to let Senator Sydnor jump in at any time, just interrupt me. So this is a slide of what the proposed map really looks like. Right now, the council has proposed 2 majority Black districts on the west side, and the rest are going to be your traditional white districts. When we say traditionally white, that means that it's a majority whites in the district. So to give you some background, Baltimore County has, okay, can we see the slides full? So it's not on full screen, can everybody see it? Oh, it's small, okay, hold on. Oh, I just want to tell you, if I mess up something, you actually will get this in your recording. Okay. I mean, you'll be getting with your with this. But let me try to, let's see, change the view. Give me 1 second. Let me stop sharing and I'll change the view. Thank you for saying that. Okay, I'll reshare the slides. Okay, put it in the chat. Is that better? Or say, is it, can y'all see now? Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm better than what I thought. Great. Okay, great. But I'm also going to email these slides out to you. So right now, the according to the 2020 census, the Baltimore County racial makeup is almost 50% minority and about 1/3 Black. But based upon this, we have 2 Black districts. Do you want to say anything about that, Senator Sydnor? Because it's kind of like what it looked like in the beginning.
You go ahead and keep on, and
Okay.
I will jump in.
Okay. Okay, so what the commission had proposed was a compromise. In reality, if you're almost 1/3 Black and you have 9 districts, it would seem like if you have enough people in the same area that you can possibly have 3 majority Black districts. And then you could have, like on the east side, 1 BIPOC district, which means Black, Indigenous, and people of color as the majority district. So what Baltimore County did is they did the commission did a compromise. They had 2 Black districts on the west side and 1 BIPOC district, meaning this majority minority on the west side. And they created, based upon like where the population of minorities was, they created a BIPOC district.
If I may,
Yes, go ahead.
in talking about what the commission did, I wanted to point out that one of our Republican members of the county council lamented that what the redistricting commission did was a partisan gerrymander. But if one looks at the commission's report, I wanted to point out that this was a bipartisan supported map that the commission put out. In fact, we had a member of the commission who was appointed by a Democrat vote against it. And we had a member of the commission that was appointed by one of our Republicans, councilmen, vote for it. So I just wanted to make it clear that there was no type of it's no way you can characterize this as a partisan gerrymander. But go ahead.
Thank you. And I just want to say, you can, if you have any questions, please put in the chat and we'll answer it. Let's see. And so I'm be honest with you, I went to every meeting, whether online or in person, and David Rockwell, he was the chair and he was a Republican. So when you say things are done in bipartisan way, there were more Democrats who were on the commission than there were Republicans, but they chose a Republican chair, and the chair had voted in favor of their map, who is a Republican. And then, okay, so I just want to say Bill 5525. So we're going to talk about the Voting Rights Act, but I just in general, why we feel this is probably an illegal map based upon the prior court case. I went too far. Okay, so first, it underrepresents 48% of our population. It relegates people of color, 48%, to 2 of the 9 districts, 22%. White majority controls 7 of the 9 seats, 78%. And majority of our minority residents whose communities are found on both sides of the county are ignored. And, and that is in violation of the Voting Rights Act, Section 2.
So may I lift
Go ahead.
the hood up a little bit? So when the commission does its job, when the county council does its job, they're looking at a couple things. One, they're looking at the county charter chapter 207, or county law 207, where you have to make certain that these districts are drawn in a compact, contiguous manner that is substantially equal in population, and they have to give due regard to current natural, geographic, and community boundaries. But in addition to that, you have the Voting Rights Act, which is what you just spoke to. And there was a seminal case that was heard by the Supreme Court. I think it was 1986 case, Thornburg versus, and I think it's Jingles or Gingles. I'm not certain how you pronounce the gentleman's last name, but out of that particular case, which came out of North Carolina, when North Carolina was being funny with how they drew lines to diminish the voting rights power of Black candidates. This case went in front of the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court came across and created this test. And this is the test that was used a couple years ago when the county did this exact same thing. It's like deja vu all over again. And it's a 3-part test. The first part of this test, what it does is it looks to see whether or not there's a minority group or groups that are sufficiently large and geographically compact to constitute a majority of the voting age population in a district. So where you talk about the relegation of people of color into 2 of the 9 districts, again, if you look at simple math, the population of Baltimore County is about 52% white, 48% non-white. So they have this phrase in political science, descriptive representation. So when you think about descriptive representation, you think that your representation is going to look like what the population it is that it represents, whether it be along race, whether it be gender. One would expect in Baltimore County not to see a county council that's full of solely men, nor should they see a council that's made up of one minority. That's talking with a descriptive representation type of a framework. So in the case of this particular map, we've had now the ACLU produce a few different maps that show how lines could be drawn in such a way that you would have a map that would give an opportunity to people to have a descriptive looking type of representation on the council. Now, again, that's the ACLU and a number of other advocacy organizations, including NAACP. Thankfully, with the commission, they did their job, and you could see where they had a variety of iterations where they were taking in testimony from the general public. And I've said it, I think I even testified for the 315 map. The commission didn't get there. As you note, the commission got to a 225 map, 2 majority Black, 2 majority BIPOC or coalition maps, and 5 majority white seats. Representation-wise, fair way to do things. So when you talk about that first test under the Thornburg test, we have examples that the county could have done the right thing, but they expressly chose not to do it. I mean, again, you look back at the last time that redistricting happened in 2021, they introduced the map that their commission came up with. This map, when you look at the statement that was made at the county council, it was completely disregarded. It wasn't even introduced. The council created its own map and put that forth. So that's test number 1. Test 2 is the minority group or groups politically cohesive. And what does that mean? So in the last case where we went to the district court, the ACLU's our attorney, he looked at past elections in Baltimore County. So at the time, they looked at the 2016 election between then Congressman, now Senator Van Hollen and Donna Edwards. They looked at the Larry Hogan versus Anthony Brown election in 2014, and they looked at the Larry Hogan and Ben Jealous race in 2018. And when they look at the data says that white people vote for white candidates, and the majority of your Black voters voted for the Black candidates. So you have that political cohesiveness that is necessary to meet that second test. The third test looks at whether the majority, meaning the white population here in Baltimore County, whether they vote sufficiently as a block to enable them to usually defeat the minorities group or group's preferred candidate. Okay, so again, in 2021, they looked at races going back as far back as 1990 on up through 2018, where and you had judicial elections, you had gubernatorial elections, you had delegate elections, you had school board elections, all being looked at. And I think it's counting that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. About 9 different elections that they looked at. There was only one time when a minority candidate won, and that was a 2018 election school board election between Cheryl Pasteur and Anthony Glazer. All of the other races, the preferred candidate of the majority voting bloc won. So those are those three tests, and at this time, those are going to be the same. That's going to be the exact same test that this map under 5525 is going to be used to look at. So what's the problem? What's the problem? When one looks at 5525 and you look at, and I don't know if you have the map, but if you look at districts 2 and 3, great. Districts 2 and 3, District 2, which is in the yellow, it's a super majority black district. Talking about 74.75% of the adjusted voting age population is 74.75% black. Councilmatic 3 is 60.12% black. And I will tell you, there's been a debate, and there's a lot of research out there that looks at whether or not, in order to have a minority candidate win a race, whether or not you have to have these types of supermajorities. And I've told people I'm a sit-in example that you do not. It's an unnecessary waste of black political power jam-packed into 2 districts. Now the funny thing is, in the past, again, this was a tool, this was a method of getting people elected. There is research that shows, again, when you look at the Congressional Black Caucus membership, most of those members don't represent majority black districts. They represent majority minority districts. Some of them actually have, I think, the minorities in the minority. But for the most part, you're talking coalition type of districts where one only needs just over 50%, maybe 50 to 57 or 55% of a black population in order to win. And when I ran in 2014, I believe District 44B was just about 53, 54% black. My current district, District 44, I believe is about 44%. So, but again, there's this debate. And those who want these supermajority districts, I believe that the idea is a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. They are guaranteeing themselves. And really, when you look at the council president's comments prior to him introducing the map, it seems that he believes this as well, because he talks about how the map creates 2 solid majority African American districts that provide the best opportunity for voters in those districts to elect preferred candidates of their choice. Now, again, the problem with there is when you look at the surrounding districts, because you packed these black voters into those 2 districts, you ultimately end up disenfranchising minority voters in those districts that are nearby. So even if they were to be in the minority, one would hope that their minority would be substantial enough that whomever it is that is elected in those non-majority minority seats would have to listen to them and can make and consider their thoughts on legislation and different acts. But when you take them out and place them and pack them, as happens in District 2 and 3, it's you're placing those people at a disadvantage. Now, if you go all the way over to the east side of Baltimore County, you have this opposite thing that's happening. So instead of packing the minority voters, there you're cracking them. So if one were to go, if you have that map and can pull it up, and you look in that Rosedale community, in the Rosedale community, and one only has to look at the census data, that community around Rosedale is could have its own district, or could have a majority minority district. But what did our county council do? It divided that population among districts 6, 7, 9, and 8, relegating them their minority vote insignificant on that side of town. And so what do you get? You get what we have, which is a 7-2 map that looks and will likely elect a county council that does not look like the representation that one would think in a diverse county like Baltimore County. One other point I wanted to make is when Baltimore County was sued and lost, mind you, some try to act as if they won, they lost. The judge placed an injunction on their map and made them redo the map. If you look at Bill 103-21, Exhibit B, and again, I try to tell people lines are nice, but the numbers are what matter. I'm not concerned at the pretty lines, and it's the numbers that matter. When Baltimore County's 2021 map was ruled unconstitutional, District 4, which is currently represented by Councilman Julian Jones, they created a map so that his district was 71.74% Black. 71.74, and they lost. This current map has District 3 at 74.75%, which is more than 71.74. And it has District 3 at 60.12, which, if one were to look at the current county council's map, is pretty much similar to the demographics of the current Councilmatic 4. So is the map unconstitutional? I believe under today's current law, it absolutely is. But what the advocates have to be concerned about is the Supreme Court, and they have a case coming up that I think is being briefed now, but it's going to be heard in October 15th. So I believe the schedule that you put out earlier has this map being voted on. Was it by October 1?
Yeah, they're going to have the vote on September 15th. The statutes that they have approved says October 1st that they have to have it done by.
So I mean, the law is what the law currently is. So unfortunately, I think there have been a number of advocates who have attempted to get the ears of our council, and our council seems pretty set that the map is what the map is, and if there are going to be any changes, they're going to be small changes. They're attempting to paint this as them listening to the community and creating districts that the community called for. But their obligation is to create districts that the law requires, not with a subset of advocates who happen to organize pretty well were pushing for, but to follow the law.
Okay, well, you already talked about this slide, so I'm going to go to the next one. So this is just reiterates this shift is especially critical for BIPOC communities on the county's east side, who I live there and I'm underrepresented. I just want to just put it out there. I live in Essex. We was wondering why we haven't seen our council person. Our council person has had his own personal issues and he has not been representing us. So it would make sense for us over here to say, hey, we need to get with people that represent us. So we have this fear of having what happened to us in Essex, and I'm in Essex Dundalk. Okay, so the people in Essex are like, hey, y'all got representations over there in Middle River. Let's all combine. But that's another Jedi mind trick, and I'll get to that later. I'm gonna go to the next slide. And so I'm going to do something. I'm going to ask him. We're going to do this commercial break for a second. So there's misinformation regarding redistricting. I think you've gone over it. So I'd like you to put in the chat, what have you heard, so we can address it, or you can even ask a question in the Q&A. I'll look at both. Is the redistricting about just your community or the whole county, and who's being left out? So for me, why I'm so passionate about it is because we've never had a woman of color ever be on our council. Okay, we've only had 2 Black men be on our council, and that's only because there was a area created. So when I hear people say, it shouldn't matter about race, it shouldn't matter about this, we might be in a blue state, but that blue state stuff does not resonate in Baltimore County. This is one of the largest jurisdictions in Maryland, and it is quite embarrassing that we have not integrated our council because of our own biases, and these biases are based upon our communities that were set up. So we would be segregated. So when people start moving in and moving out, they still try to segregate us. So who's being left out and sitting at the table? People like me, people who have disabilities, people who are, they care about voters. So maybe the people who need us the most are not being taken care of or being heard. I'm talking about our homeless community. I'm talking people who can't go to those meetings at 4 and 6 o'clock. Some people don't even have the internet. So I wanted to take a little commercial break, and I wanted to talk about something dear to my heart, and that's people with disabilities. And let me stop sharing my screen and have my good friend here, because I want us to not just be worrying about us, but I know we have family that also are not being talked about. So I wanted to let Andy take a few minutes and talk about Maryland Inclusive.
Thank you, Sharonda, and thank you all for your time. I've never been part of a commercial break. This is a new way to do this, but leave it to Sharonda to come up with that. So thank you. First, let me tell you, I won't take up too much of your time, I promise. I understand you guys have a lot to talk about, a lot on your plate. You need to get back to Sunday dinner. But let me tell you a little bit about Maryland Inclusive Housing, and I'll tell you about a little event that we're having in just a few weeks. Maryland Inclusive, I actually met Sharonda. We started together at Maryland Inclusive Housing a few years ago. We're celebrating our 5th anniversary now. And what we do at MIH is we help people in the intellectual developmental disabilities community find homes and help with housing support services to help find their homes all over the state of Maryland. We're a statewide organization. To help them find affordable housing, to help them find inclusive housing, to help them find housing where oftentimes they can live by themselves, where they were living with other people. Sharonda knows this. We've worked with her family, and she not only was an employee, but she benefited from what MIH has done. We've got a lot of great stories on our website, which I'll show you in a second. And we've been doing this for more than 5 years now. Like I said, we're celebrating our 5th anniversary, started in January of 2020. And as of now, we've helped place more than 50 Marylanders with IDD into homes that they're looking for. They're nicer homes than what they had before. Like I said, in a lot of places they can live independently and they're affordable. And this is all over the place. Sharonda's son lives in I'm sorry.
He lives in Hartford.
Harford County. Yeah, Harford County. But we also work in Howard County and Baltimore County, Baltimore City. Certainly, where you are in Baltimore County, like I said, Montgomery County, Prince George's County, Eastern Shore, Western Maryland. We're all over the state. And we're very proud of that. So we have a lot to be proud of. Like I said, we've placed over 50 Marylanders with IDD in their homes. So we want to really share our celebration, our anniversary celebration with everybody. So let me share real quickly, and I'll put this in the chat. Again, I won't take up too much of your time. A little bit about MIH and what we do. So real quickly, here is our website. And this, you can go about our mission and all this fun stuff. And our mission explains exactly what I just mentioned. And of course, it's moving slowly today. It's Sunday. I guess everyone's on this weekend still and placing people with IDD. Here's AJ, who people may know through Sharonda, and people that we work with, and all of this fun stuff that we've done over 5 years. Like I said, what we've done is a very big deal. So let me get to the good stuff. On Tuesday, and I'll put all this information in the chat before I leave. On Tuesday, September 9th, which is only 3 weeks from this Tuesday, I believe. And this is very convenient for this group being based in Baltimore County. It's at the BC Brewery, which many of you may know, in Hunt Valley. It's right across the street from a light rail station, so it's incredibly convenient for those of you who use light rail. It's not too far to drive. For most people in Baltimore County, or even if you're in Baltimore City. And let me explain a little bit about what you do. And like, again, I'll put all of these sites, all of these web pages in the chat. Here's all the information about it. It is entirely free. We'd love to have all of you, all of our partners, people who have benefited. It's a really fun event. We'll have a short program, but we have free food, free drinks. There's a cash bar if you're interested in that. It should be good vibes. Yeah, and who doesn't like free food and free drink, right? We'll give out a few awards and talk about some of the things that we've done over the years and some of the people that we're highlighting or giving awards to as well. We do ask, even though it is free, we do ask that you RSVP. We want to have an accurate count of how many people come. You can do that by clicking on our Eventbrite page right here. You can also go to Eventbrite right there. And here's all the information right here about what you need, where it is, when it is, 5 to 8. It's really a family event. I know it's at a brewery, but it is a family event. We'll have stuff for the kids to do if you want to bring some kids as well. It should really be a fun event. So you can do that for free. Please RSVP, and we'd love to have as many as possible. Also, for those of you who really feel tied to us, we do have sponsorship opportunities, and you can go right here to our sponsorship opportunities. This helps not just pay for the event, but some of the operating costs that we have at MIH. You can become a lead sponsor, gold sponsor, silver sponsor, bronze sponsor. Sharonda, thanks, has become a sponsor herself. Her family has. Friends of MIH, we'd really love your support and all of that. But again, the event is free. And I will put everything in the chat. We'd love to see you there. Again, it's Tuesday, September
And
9th.
I just want to add, our own county executive will also be there.
Yes, yes. Thank you for reminding me. Sharonda, Kathy Klossmeyer will be there. We're hoping to have some other special fun guests as well. So if you want to come and talk to Kathy or talk to Sharonda or talk to me for that matter, we'd love to have you. If you have any questions, I'll put my email address in the chat or email Sharonda as well. She can get them to us. It's a fun, free night. Celebrating some great things that we've done over the last 5 years. So we'd love to have all of you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sharonda.
And please put all the information in chat. Actually, I'll put it in. You put the information in chat, and then I'll put it in the chat because I don't think everybody can see your chat, but I'll see it and I'll share it.
Thank you so much.
And so I'm going to let's see, if you unshare your screen, I'll re-put up the PowerPoint because we have. Okay, so we are right here. Share. Okay. So I think, Leo. So that was our commercial. So we deserve more than crumbs. We deserve a seat at the table. Communities of colors have been divided and diluted. A 225 that unites and empowers. I think this is a good time to answer that question in the chat. You kept talking about cracking and slacking, or what did you say, Senator Sydnor? Can you explain what you were talking about, cracking and packing?
Sure. So packing is and someone had asked the question if they were I guess two sides of the same coin, and my response was, if the coin is disenfranchisement, then yes, because what packing does, and there's a number of videos and illustrations that are out online that really show what happens. Packing, it can take a minority and put as many people into that one district so that they have no influence on any of the other districts. So they're willing to give away let's say if it's a council of 7 members, they're willing to give you 1 seat because that 1 seat, when it comes time to vote, will not really have too much of an impact on that larger body. Cracking happens when one, again, it tries to take a population and disperse it amongst a number of districts so that it becomes a minority within among a variety or a number of districts, and it diminishes their voice. So that's what happened on the east side. And again, there's a illustration. I think it shows 50 squares, and of the 50 squares, 20 squares are red and 30 squares are blue, but they were able to divide those blue and red squares up in such a way that the red squares control the blue squares. So those are the 2 techniques that one looks at, and when you see them, you have to wonder what's behind them.
I can tell you. So right now, I live in Essex, Middlesex, right? And so when the commission came up with their map, they said, I looked at this because I didn't know how to make a map, but I did realize when I was looking at the census data, there are communities that are right next to each other that are majority minority, like in Rossville, Rosedale, parts of Essex. So what happens is what you showed is a dividing line of where they put people amongst each other. So when there was some pushback on the map that was originally 4724, you created a narrative that the people in Middle River, Essex, they want to be together. Okay. So you keep saying the same thing and it sounds like it's real. In reality, Essex was never with Middle River, it was with Dundalk. Okay. But we didn't have representation. So therefore, what I always tell people, not to see, I'm glad I couldn't get a council person on here because I'll have to call them out. But last time I had council people on here on this panel with Senator Sydnor, the real problem is your council person. If you're not getting what you need, you putting people together isn't going to change anything. What's going to happen is you might get what I have. You have somebody that's not doing anything. You have somebody that you're just left and they live in Dundalk, you live in Essex, so it's even worse for you that you have to call other council people to do something. And I just want to make mention, Senator Sydnor lives all the way on the west side, right? But when there was a black I'm sorry, I'm having brain freeze.
Talking about the yacht club?
Yes, the Black Yacht Club over here in Dundalk. My people, my senator, he didn't do nothing. Nobody wanted to do anything. They had to go to the black man on the other side of town to stop it. And then he got other people from the east side and from from the west side to help. And it became a thing. They even had an event there. So I'm just saying, when you don't have a seat at the table or you don't have the right representation, of course you want to go with someone else. But I'm gonna literally tell you, I don't live on the waterfront. I live in Middlesex, which means it's like the in between Middle River and Essex. And I don't want to live near water because I used to do homeowners claims. And so that's not my thing. So I'm not getting all them bugs and stuff like that. So when you say these things, you're talking about Middle River, who has 3 representatives. And you said we don't want to break up this community. That's not a community. And in reality, when you have 2 members out of 3 who actually do something, then that means you probably get 2 or 3 votes. So, I mean, all that myth is really based upon who you have. And everybody that lives on the west side is going to have a new representative. Okay, I digress. Let me go on to the next slide.
No, I want to thank Peter for putting that link in. And really, again, people want to talk about how the lines look. And I try to tell, this is not about lines, it's about the numbers. It's what's between the lines that count. And that's what matters. So don't let, one of the things that I've shared with people, Sharonda, is that this notion, this map that has been put out by the county council, it's attractive to some Black people who want 2 seats. So 2 out of 9, 1 out of 7, I believe the percentage it changed. 1 out of 7, I think, is about 13% power. And when I'm talking about power, people don't want to. This is about power. 2 out of 9, you're now at 22%. So your power has increased just a little bit, but nothing like the 48% of the population that should be represented in a 4 or 2-2-5 map. And everyone's asking, what map do I support? I support the commission's final map. It was a 2-2-5 map. That's about equity across the board, and it's about opportunity. No one's attempting to guarantee anyone of any race a seat, but what you're trying to do is guarantee an opportunity to win a seat and to have your voices be heard. And I see someone that talked about putting it where the ghost can get it. That's what we're trying to do. I mean, it's a siren's song to some people, and they're kind of taken in because they get to say, I'm going to guarantee you 2 out of these 9 seats. And again, bird in hand, worth 1 in the bush, 2 in the bush. You're leaving power on the table.
I just want to say something. I'm going to address someone's question. I have been involved with the various forums, and someone had a comment that this isn't a true forum. Anybody can have a forum of their own choice. I chose a webinar because I want to open up to everyone. However, it's been my experience that people have said the N word, have been naked. So therefore, to ensure that we can have a adult conversation, we will answer your question. So Danielle, if you like to have your own forum, that's fine. But that's the reason why I chose the webinar format, because recently on the Central Committee, there was a whole big thing happen and it was on live. So thank you for your comment. But anybody can have a forum, but this is our forum. And so this is how we're choosing to do it, okay? So this is the last slide, basically. I wanted to give raise questions and ask anything you need, but this is the, we'll send this as a link, but there is a Fair Maps Coalition that gives out updates. And so at this portion, I'm going to go to which you've been looking for. I wanted to take some time to actually look at the actual map. Let's see, give me a second. So you can kind of go in and out, and if you want to go ahead and start answering, I'm gonna stop sharing. If you see any questions you want to answer. Miss Patrice of Raven, you can put your question in the chat. Okay, so I think I already have this all up. So hold on, let me stop sharing. Just go to the let me just share. I think I already have all my links already up.
So there's 9 statements in the Q&A. Sheila Lewis says, I support the map created by the Redistricting Commission. I've also seen a map created by the ACLU that looks favorable. I initially started supporting the ACLU's 3-1-5 map, but I saw the process that the commission went through. And while my heart was with the 3-1-5, the 2-2-5 map that the commission, their final recommendation is acceptable. And I thought it, in looking at that commission and the work that they did, and I think they did about 3 different iterations of a map. One understands in politics, you generally don't get everything that you always want. But I think that map, it was legally sufficient. and that's why I've put my support behind what the commissions did. Miss Karen Brathwaite Yarn writes, lastly, why are we getting a notice so late about this important subject? This is happening now. The council just introduced this map. Uh, was it last week?
We're on schedule, actually. I mean, we've been talking about this since last year. I mean, they had the commission came with their map. I mean, and they had to wait until they had a meeting. They're on a different schedule. And so as soon as it came back, they had it out. So when you say you haven't heard about it, I don't, they're on their schedule. It's not finalized, so you still have time to, well, the next meeting is really when they're taking a hearing. Let me try to do this. Was there another question?
Someone has asked, what's the controversy about Greenlee community? Are they being cracked? What district would they be in?
Oh, well, let me talk about Greenlee, because I'm gonna tell you the truth. So Greenlee, so let me say this. There are people that live in Greenlee. So you have someone that's been helping, even made people aware of the map. He ran for council last time, Shafiq. So there has been things like, oh, Shafiq created a map just for him. Actually, one of the things that was done, there was a heat map done. That area is very diverse now. So therefore, it has, it became an HBCU. It's an affluent area on 43. It then became about Shafiq. And there is also someone who wants to run for office who lives in the area, who's a Republican, because initially the thought process was that was supposed to be a Republican leaning area. So when you take a certain amount of people out, then therefore it becomes, you don't have the same opportunity. So that's kind of the controversy about Greenlee. It's more political theater. But it doesn't, I don't think it's a do or die whether Greenlee's in a BIPOC or not in a BIPOC. But the numbers do reflect there is a growing number of minorities in that area.
Sharonda, I'm sorry, Sharonda, this is Carlos. There are two public hearings coming up on August 26th and September 9th. Where should attendees go if they would like to have their voices heard?
Right here. So glad you said that. I think I'm sharing my screen. The council will hold two public hearings on the legislation and map, and that will be on the 26th, 2025 at 4. So around 9-10 o'clock, they will have a link where you can register to either be in person or speak online. And that is going to be at the work session. Now, after the regular legislative session, you do have the opportunity to speak, and that date is in September the 9th. They'll have another work session. And then there will be the actual, you can always send in written testimony to county council at baltimorecountymaryland.gov. So those are the ways that you can do that. Now, let me try to do this map again. So that was a good question. Is there another question?
Yes, and I can take this one. How important is it that communities remain together? In the current council map, my community on the west side is split between Julian and Izzy, and we would like to all be in one. So at the state level, and I live in Catonsville, my community is actually split between District 44 and District 10. So I laugh at people. I tell them I can look out my window across the street, and my neighbor across the street is in one district and I'm in the other. Does that harm us? No, it does not. In fact, what happens is the community that I live in, instead of having one senator who has a concern about my district, our community has two senators. So when it comes to things about voting, it's always about coalition building, getting the magic number. And one is never the magic number. It's always trying to get additional people to see it your way. So if there was a issue that came up regarding my community, I could almost guarantee you that both of us senators are going to be voting to help the community. So it's a good talking point that community should remain together. But from a political perspective, it actually helps you rather than harms you. So that's one thing. If you look at it from a historical perspective, and I think Sharonda touched on this a little bit when we were talking about the history in Baltimore County. Communities staying together essentially means that you're going to be accepting the segregation that it is out here in Baltimore County. Baltimore County is still a pretty segregated community, and one can see so when you just look at many of the schools around Baltimore County. And so that's problematic. So let's see. So I hope that that gives you a different way of looking at things. I think again, Sharonda said that it's really about the representative that you elect. And if you elect a good representative, your community should be just fine. Let's see. I'm getting black squares. I think you responded to that.
Well, I just want to say this, and if you want to be the changes you want to see, you should run. That's what because they have public financing now. So I just think that there is more opportunity to have different voices who are not the traditional politicians and things like that. So I'm encouraging people to not just, because I'm just want to say honestly, nobody runs that's competitive against Izzy or Julian. So like, but this is a great opportunity because if you have somebody has like $1 million in their bank account, it's hard to run against them. So I think that we have opportunities because there's so many open seats. The things as they used to be are not going to be the same. So it's kind of like, I use this, like, why would you want a Chevette when you get a Maybach and you are entitled to it? I think that we're too concerned about what has been happening and not looking at the possibilities what can happen. Because literally, if I'm gonna give you the Catonsville, since you live there, you can tell the truth. Catonsville is racially divided. So why wouldn't all the white people want to not be in a BIPOC district so they can have control? So what happens when you're looking for the white people to vote for you? You might not even go to the Black side. So that's literally what's happening in my community. If I'm not a Republican, they don't even respond to my phone calls. I have to call somebody else. So I probably losing my political power now because I call everything out. But the reality is the reality. So what if you get a bad batch? What if you get a person who is more interested in the voters than the whole community? That's what happens. So we need to have also more people who are in the communities to actually step up and run for these offices.
Let's see. Maureen writes, I know that the 2 majority Black will blindfold some communities, but that leaves out the minority communities, which is not favorable to anyone, both Black and brown. I still support the commission map, which supports the current Baltimore County population. I think that's a statement more than it is a question that I don't think I quite understand. So I'll move on to the next one unless you got a comment.
I'm ready to show the screen so people want to see their community. I finally got it up. Let me go ahead and go to, this is commission. So I have all my tabs up. So let's see.
And while you're doing that, Deb Brandish says, is there a legal way to force the council to reconsider the commission's map in time before we have council votes? The legal way is for your councilmen to do something. There's plenty of time for them to do the right thing. But from what I think Sharonda has heard and from what I've heard, they're pretty set on introducing this map and voting on this particular map and making some minor modifications to it. So really, it's about the people speaking up.
Can I be honest with everybody? I'm not a politician. I'm just going to act like I'm one, right? So politically, if you don't even have the votes, I'm not even going to blame them. I'm not even, so some people I think somebody said this before, is it Izzy's fault, right? I believe, this is my personal opinion, when Izzy decided to put these 2 things forward, he didn't have the votes. So whoever came up with like, hey, well, let's create a map, that's what they did. Now, I don't know if Izzy thought it was going to pass or going to be real, but that's the only way we can have 2 additional seats, okay? So now we're at the point where you got 2 additional seats. You have a whole bunch of advocates that live on the west side and you don't want to make them mad. You know, if you just went ahead with the commission vote and you were running against two people on the council, they're not going to vote with you because it's not going to look good. Everybody's looking at it as we're going to have to go to court anyway. So I don't want to look bad. I mean, that's the reality. And so if you're never going to get the votes for the commission's map, because you need a majority, a super majority, which is 5 votes. So if you're not going to get 5 votes, nobody's going to just be like, nah, let's go ahead and vote for it. So what you may happen is when they know they have a majority, there might be somebody that votes opposite of everybody to say, hey, I said this and I stand on my morals. You know, these are all Jedi mind tricks. I realize it and I just accept it. So I said I was going to be bad cop and tell the truth, but it's just not politically always the good thing for someone just to go out on a limb for the right thing. You know, so that's why you have to look at somebody. Are you going to be for us? And are you okay with doing the right thing for everybody instead of just me? Because that's all it is. Because some of us are smart enough to be on this call, but there's a lot of people who are never going to get on these calls and they just vote for the people because they know the name. So that's the reality. So let me find the Zoom again and share my screen. Okay, this is the map. Okay, so did you want to look at a particular area that you were talking about? Because also when you go to the map, it goes down. If you go to, and we'll send you the website, it'll go down to the street level to see where everything is. And then also on this map, there's another exhibit that breaks down what the percentages are. So is there anything in particular that you wanted to see? And this is the whole map all together. And then the other exhibit I can show you, which will, this is it, it's actually will. So this is the council map, the 5525 right now. Is there any area you want to highlight, Senator Sydnor?
Not beyond what I've already have. Again, I think on your side of town, if you're looking at that Rosedale area, again, you have the cracking we were talking about amongst those 4 different districts where if one were to look at the commission's map, the commission showed us how you could create a majority, minority, or coalition district.
So this is as it is now. So I can go to the commission map. So this is as it is now. So I just want to tell, they asked the question about particular Greenlee area, and that's part of the 1525, right over 15025 over here. And so a lot of this area is minority. And so when you get over to, like we're talking about, keeping these areas as waterfront communities, those are majority, not minority, and also lean Republican. So the way that they did the map for the commission, they looked at it a little bit differently and just look, there was a heat map that was given. Oh, you know what? This is what I wanted to show too. Now this might be, this is for the data for the councilmatic maps. Does everybody see that? And so you will see like 9.
That little black squares and that black square is covering up some of the numbers.
Oh, okay. Well, let me get rid of it. Let me move it over here. Okay. Okay. So yeah, let me move it over here. Make it smaller. This is supposed to be closed captioning over here. Okay. So if you look at this one over here, this will tell you the breakdown for each population. So this is the general population, because I just want everybody to remember, we went from about 120,000 people per district to now averaging mean at 95. So something's going to have to be broken up a little bit. So would it have been better to actually have 4 more districts? The answer is yes, as we're talking about keeping more communities together. But when you're doing it this way, and I understand they feel like they don't have enough money and all sorts of stuff, then you are going to have some split communities. But I always look at it the big picture. Do you want to have the opportunity to have more minorities on the council than 2 or possibly 3 when we are almost 50% minority? And I'm sure we're 50% minority now, because think about the census. A lot of people weren't even participating in the census. Clifford, did you have a question? You can put it in the chat. So this is the, let me get rid of this. So this is the, can you see that box? Am I getting rid of it? Okay. This is the, what's really important is the adjusted voting age population. And you will see, like, I'm just going to say this. I am not, it's not the end of the world if you look at this and say, okay, we can do 2 Black districts, okay? But there should be an opportunity to have an additional at least 1 or 2 BIPOC districts to really put in our council an opportunity for us to have more representation. Because if we keep doing the same thing over and over again, we get the same results. So if you look at District 1 right now, we went from the commission's BIPOC district to 43,793 white, 12,204 Black. We have 5,000 Hispanic. So we're kind of like, there was an opportunity there that we're missing. And as you stated, we're in these, and there also is a deviations that's usually within 5%, but I see there's like some higher deviations for the voting age population. Did Clifford put his question in there yet?
Well, there are a number of other questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Lauren asks, is there a reason why the council is disregarding the commission's recommendations? Unless you talk directly with the council people, I can only go by what's in the written minutes. And it seemed from the president's Ertel's comments, their goal was to keep certain communities together. That's what I got from his comment. Let's see. Carson Caminance, what action or actions could a judge or magistrate take to remedy a possible violation here? From experience in 2021, they could tell the council to redraw the map. Last session, actually, ever since what happened in 2021, I've been introducing a bill in the General Assembly called the Maryland Voting Rights Act. And last year we got the furthest we've ever gotten and was able to get it passed out of the Senate, but it died in the House. And what it would have allowed for is to have our Attorney General go in and sue local jurisdictions that decided to violate the Voting Rights Act. So right now, judges usually they'll ask the county to go back and redraw. Under that legislation, maps could have been introduced and given the judges different options to look at. Hope that answers your questions. Roland Patterson.
I do want to go back to something else. How much did it cost to do this lawsuit last time?
I think if I'm not mistaken, it exceeded $1 million. So I mean, you talk about waste. And Sharonda, you're right. These votes are based on having at least 5 votes. And unfortunately, the county council backed itself in a corner last year when it expanded the council. It attached a map to it that was not a very good map. And that map got at least 5 votes. And the fact of the matter is, if this council doesn't pass anything, that map is still out there and is the law at this time. And so you're right. From what I'm hearing, I mean, you already have the Republicans who have said in a block that they're not going to vote for this partisan commission's map. But again, that's why I said at the very beginning, this was a bipartisan voted or supported map. It was not just Democrats who voted for this map. That's important. But the Republicans aren't going to vote for it. If they're not going to vote for it, the map is essentially, they said it was dead on arrival, which only leaves us, as Mr. Patterson, as you point out, the political pressure, we can put it on, but I don't think that's going to change anything. So it leaves our only recourse to file suit, unfortunately.
I do want to say there's other recourses we can look at in the future. I think it's very important when you have the next council that they look at these type of things. So I do want to give solutions before we end this. And I also will, if there's something that's not addressed, something's not addressed, we can go ahead and do this later. I'll answer your questions later. I'm saving everything. Excuse my son. You know, y'all saw his picture earlier. But in some states, they actually have an independent redistricting commission that that are professionals. I think what's happening is we don't have that professionalism. We had a lot of people on the commission who didn't even know how to use the software. So I'm very grateful. I think she's on the phone, like Dr. Davis, Lisa Bell Castro, and some others. They were very instrumental in even creating the maps, and people just happened to vote on it. So the process definitely needs to change going forward. And we actually need to look at legislation to make this a better process and maybe make it nonpartisan, like have professionals do it and not even make it a issue and that has to go to court all the time, but have a different remedy before we get to this point.
And someone had raised a question they about the impact on school boards. Again, if the map lines are drawn the way that they're drawn, it will have a huge impact on schools. In fact, last session I'd introduced legislation because there are a number of members they're not looking for the school board to grow. So I'd introduced legislation to keep the school board at the current level that it is, to continue having 7 elected school board members and to continue having the 4 appointed. So what my legislation would have done was to create school board districts that would have been redistricted every 10 years along with everything else. And the school board, we would have the General Assembly would have relied on the school board's expertise of drawing the school boundaries, and the community would not have had to worry about those boundaries changing, but every 10 years along with the state lines and the county and congressional lines. So we'll see what happens next session.
It's 6:15. I want to answer this last question. What do you prefer? 55-25 passing or it failing and reverting back to the map attached to the referendum? 47-24.
Boy, pick your poison. Both maps are horrible. So pick your poison. I prefer neither of them. So
it doesn't matter. It's still going to be probably litigated at this point because they're both are not addressing the whole county. But I'll stop there and I'll let Ms. Maddox, if you want to come back on, and I want to thank everybody for this forum.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We hope that you got all the information that you need to make informative decisions. I think there was a link put in the chat for an opportunity for people to sign up to speak at the public hearing that's coming up. I think that's a little ways up on the
well, the link's not going to be there yet, but
okay.
It will be coming up. But I will send everybody the information after. You'll get a recording of the video as well as links and things of that nature. And if there's any questions we missed, I will look at them and we'll give you the answer.
All right. Thank you everyone for joining us and have a good evening.